I decided to go on an international immersion program because I've always been interested in that. Since I attended an open house prior to beginning the program, I wanted to go. I love new people, I love different cultures, I love business, and all of these things are tied up into an exciting and educational package that's miles away from the classroom.
So in making my decision, I realized that the international immersion experience gave me the opportunity that most Lehigh MBA courses did not. That was one, the opportunity to immerse oneself in a foreign country, but also to get firsthand experiences in both industry and culture in a foreign country.
I decided to go on the China immersion trip because I felt like there was a certain perception in American media, good or bad, about China, and I wanted to see China for myself.
I thought it was a great way to get 3 credits as well as do a little bit of traveling and get some world experience outside of the business setting to actually academically learn about a different country and how they do business.
Going to China was really an important part of my MBA education. It was something that I wasn't really sure about at first, but I ultimately decided on because I felt like there wasn't really any other time in my life when I would be able to take the 2 weeks with a group of like-minded students to go and experience a different culture and also get to understand the business culture or the business environment in a different country. So it was really beneficial for me to visit companies and see how they do business in China, and then also share that experience with such a diverse group of people.
Being a full-time graduate student and a part-time graduate assistant, my schedule did get a little bit more packed than I like, but it was nothing that wasn't manageable. The classes were also scheduled on a handful of Friday evenings, so essentially all we had to give up were a couple of Friday nights, which was well worth it.
The coursework involved in these trips is unobtrusive, but it's definitely necessary to really get the full impact of the course. As far as how it fit in with my work schedule, it's difficult to be away from the job as a school administrator in May, but I feel like that's mitigated a bit because you can sign up for the trips early and then you can plan to be away. It's definitely an experience that you want to plan to have.
So I began to look at the amazing opportunities that Lehigh University and the MBA program had to offer. In doing so, though, I had to consider the time away from work as well as the financial considerations. I knew that in making a decision, it would require time away from work, family, and also be an additional course. But in weighing the benefits of that, I realized that this is probably going to give me an opportunity that I would not be able to do outside of the Lehigh MBA program or possibly again in my entire life.
Traveling with a group of MBA students allows you access into areas that you can't get to as a tourist. So while you could go to UK and London, or you could go to London and visit that yourself, you wouldn't necessarily be able to see and access all the things that we did. For example, we were able to have dinner at the Carlton Club and engage in a whole night of conversation with members of Parliament. In Chile and Argentina, we had over an hour of unrestricted access to the CEO of the Bayer Corporation, where he candidly spoke to us about some of the challenges that he faced in his organization and really asked our advice as upcoming MBAs.
So when I signed up for the trip and looked over the itinerary, the main thing I was focused on and thinking about in terms of benefits were being able to visit different companies and understand and hear from different people who are doing business in the region. And while that was a valuable part of the trip, one thing that was actually even more valuable for me was being able to experience this trip and experience all those company visits with different people from different backgrounds, develop a camaraderie and relationships with people from different industries, different countries, with different points of view, and be able to debate and discuss the different issues that we experienced in China. And that really helped formulate some of my views and the things that I'll take with me going forward about how to do business internationally and potentially doing business in China specifically.
One of the benefits that we saw was that we definitely strengthened our lifelong friendships with those of our classmates in the MBA program in ways that are just not possible in the MBA classroom. For example, you can find out which one of your classmates is willing to stand in front of an airplane to keep it from taking off without you.
Probably the most memorable part was the general public. It really surprised me how open and accepting they were of you. You'd walk down the street and people would actually stop and ask you to take a picture with them, which was pretty surprising and pretty cool.
In the UK, I think one of the highlights professionally was being able to visit the Silicon Roundabout and watch the upstart of the entrepreneurial community there. And just personally, it was great to have a beautiful view of Nottingham from the top of the wall of the Nottingham Castle.
Some of the advice that I'd give somebody that was unsure of participating in the international immersion experience would be, it seems like a lot of money up front, but it is absolutely 100% well worth it. That was my biggest hesitation was, was it worth the money? But with the amount of traveling you do, the amount of different hotels and the amount of different experience you get, it is absolutely worth that, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I recommend it to anyone who's on the fence about it.
If someone could ask why they should participate in a Lehigh MBA international immersion experience, I could sit and talk all day about the benefits and the value of doing so. But in reality, I'm not going to have that opportunity. So if I had to really sum it up, I would say that you're going to get once-in-a-lifetime personal and professional experiences.
My piece of advice to you would be that in life you'll always regret your inactions more than your actions. So definitely do whatever you have to do to take one of these trips. Take the action and do this, because if you take the inaction and sit back and let this opportunity pass you by, you will never know what great things you didn't get to see or do, or what great opportunities didn't open up to you because you didn't go.
The visa process is relatively painless. I was nervous sending my passport to an agency and letting them process it, but they are very professional and they track everything, so I found it quite easy to get the visa.
So the visa process, while it took a little bit of time just to get the paperwork together, the graduate program office was really helpful in getting all the documents that we needed and organizing that. So really what was left for me was to put in the application, which did again take a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, but any MBA student, if you can get through the classes, the visa process really isn't trouble at all. It's just a matter of following directions, being detailed, and getting it in on time. I got my visa in probably about 10 days from start to finish, and I really didn't have any issues.
So it was definitely a unique experience. I'd recommend it to anybody. We talk a lot in the classroom about having a global experience, and I never was really able to grasp it until I actually went to a different country and got to experience the elements of business that are so different from what we do in the US. I feel like it really gave me a global perspective, and getting to know all the people at the businesses that we visited there was just a tremendous experience, and it's something that's probably going to stay with me my entire life, so I would definitely recommend going.